Okay, we're going to be talking about, looks like the Department of Justice has been given till noon tomorrow to release the redacted version of the affidavit in regards to the raid on Trump's private home in Mar-a-Lago. But what will that even mean? Will there be any value to that? Will that satisfy anyone's urge to know the truth in regards to what's going on? Because keep in mind, there's a lot of folks out there who do not even trust the FBI, do not trust the validity of any of their operations. So if you release a document with black marks scratched all over it, DC, I see you said hallelujah. I don't know where it's going to go. And that's the question I'm asking. What is the value of this? If you do not trust the FBI, you do not believe that organization is on the up and up, what could they possibly release that's going to satisfy the information you want to know? You just simply say what's in it is bullshit, or what's under the redacted markings is a cover up. So I don't see how this is going to make much of a difference. Chances are the information, the data that most of us want to see is going to be covered in black. Period. It's going to be covered in black. All of the stuff that's redacted is what you're going to really want to know about. Looking in the comments, it's certainly an interesting tale being unfolded. But do we know the whole of this? Do we actually know what the tale is? Because even as a liberal, even as a Democrat, I have a question in regards to why serve the warrant if you're not going to arrest the guy? Why accuse the man of potentially committing crimes without charging him? It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. It's actually been over 2 weeks. And he has not been charged of anything yet. That's going to be an issue because if they went into your house or if the feds came into my house, we'd be charged already. Why even go in there if you're not prepared to charge him with anything? You can't just go into man's house, take a bunch of stuff, if he hasn't done anything worthy of being charged. Okay, looking in the comments here, the last thing the FBI wants is to make those documents public. That is true, because when you're dealing with the Trump administration, or when you're dealing with President Trump himself, he's likely to out judges, out informants, and out people that could put their lives in danger. Trump is liable to take a picture of the entire document and post it online, putting everybody at risk. So, no, I'm sure the FBI does not want those documents out there. We've already had an individual try to go to an FBI office in Cincinnati, clearly planned on dismissing the FBI or defunding the FBI by himself. So, no, I agree with that. Okay, let me go to DJ Cosmic. Think anything is going to come out of these redacted documents that is going to satisfy anyone's craving for the truth. DJ, what do you think there?
Nope.
Good evening.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm so glad that it happened to him. I swear, I am so glad that it happened to him. You know what I'm saying? But the
What
thing
do
is,
you
you
mean?
may be shocked of why. You may be shocked of why. Because this man just single-handedly proved what a lot of, this is why I tell people, whether you're Republican or not, systemic racism is real. That
How so?
there's a
Elaborate
such
on
thing
that.
as systemic racism. Huh?
What do you mean? Elaborate on that.
Trump just single-handedly proved that the government can be weaponized. They just did it to a president, which is what we've been saying for the longest, that the government has been weaponized against the melanated community in America.
So,
Hence systemic racism.
so let me ask you this. Let's say Obama did the exact same thing they're accusing Trump of. Do you think he would have been treated differently?
Oh, you know they would have threw that man the melanated community in America would have been going crazy. And man, this right here, because it's happening to Trump, a lot of us are trying to act like he deserved it, this and that. But these things been happening to the black community for the longest.
So
We've
what
been
you're
getting raised
suggesting,
for no reason.
so what you're suggesting is Trump is not necessarily enjoying presidential privilege, but white privilege.
Well, nah, he's getting the black treatment right now. That's what he's getting.
He's getting
What
the
we've been going through for the longest. And the thing of it is with the Republican people, the Republican people who vote Republican, is they always push this whole systemic racism isn't real when all we've been saying from the Panthers to the Martin Luther King is that the system is created against us. He just experienced what we go through. But this happened to him once, and it's been happening to us since forever.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
it's interesting you would say that because I have also said that the stuff that you're hearing coming from the Trump administration sounds very similar to what you're hearing coming from Black Lives Matter. All of the complaints, all of the complaints about not getting due process, them serving warrants, not
Oh my
treating them
God.
right, even up to including defunding a law enforcement organization. I mean, they're starting to sound a hell of a lot like Al Sharpton or Ben Crump.
But hold on. Read his platinum plan.
What do you mean?
You read his platinum plan? His
No.
platinum plan is about police reform, prison reform. It's all about helping the black community. See, people like to talk about it, but nobody like to read what's going on. And the platinum plan was an idea that he got from Ice Cube's contract for Black America.
You're talking about Trump?
Towards the minority business. Yeah, 500. Remember, Biden didn't want to talk to Ice Cube, but Trump did.
Right.
And if you've read Contract for Black America, what Trump has in his platinum plan is what Ice Cube gave Trump for the Contract for Black America as a start to help build the black minority infrastructure. $500 billion to get started to help fund financial.
Okay, so if Trump got this plan from Ice Cube, what exactly did he do with it?
He never got it. He never got reelected. But this was the thing that was going on. See, it's a lot of stuff that like, for instance, when he won the bipartisanship award for the First Step Act, that didn't even get televised. When he told the Democratic people who were in the audience that your party is against you, and it seems like the deck is stacked against you, we've never heard about that.
So what you're suggesting is that Trump was actually the right guy for African American progress.
Exactly. And now this happened to him. Now it's a lot of conversations that this man had that didn't get televised, but all you got was the rhetoric. Like when I watched the impeachment trial, all they had was edited clips of what he said. But when his lawyers got it, they just played the video.
Why did it not get, if he was doing all of this for the African American community, why did it not get televised?
Take one guess why. Because they had a picture. They had a picture portrayed of him. They wanted him to be the racist man. Remember, Trump back in the day, all of his friends were black. He had less white friends than he did black friends. But
wait a minute. I get your point, but I am a huge watcher of right-wing media. I watched Fox News throughout the entire Trump administration. He could call in there and talk to Steve Ducey or Fox and Friends in the morning or Sean Hannity anytime he wanted. Why was that not covered on Fox News? That's not a left-wing organization.
Because everybody, even on the right side, they not for what's going on, was really telling the truth. They tell some truth, but they tell both sides have an agenda. But the thing is one thing I've paid attention to this dude is that he's not really moving. He's using, like he said before, he'll use a platform to do something, but have them thinking that he's doing whatever, but all the time pushing a whole nother agenda. He has his own damn plan. I mean, think about it. He started locking people up in the damn when he got in, Republican and Democrat. Remember that? Then
so what is he a really good president that every single person in the country hates?
No, let's just say they got really good promoters to promote the negativity of what they want going on. What they want is division. And what this dude was doing was he was doing stuff for everybody and not a specific class. But the right wants him to be. I mean, you got to. My thing, I had to step back and see the forest for the trees because he's not.
Here's what I don't get. Even Charles Manson and Jeffrey Dahmer had friends. How can this guy who's doing so well for everybody not have anybody who like him when Charles Manson or Jeffrey Dahmer could have friends? That doesn't make sense.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm an asshole, and I know asshole moves. You know one thing they hate. You know one thing they hate about assholes. They hate for assholes to be right. And you know how many people, like for instance, you know how many people I told about getting their record expunged, as opposed to the people that actually did it. When I told people how to get their record expunged, 98% of them said it don't work. Same thing they said what's going on, what happened with this man here. They said his stuff don't work. To later on find out after he gets out of office that everything he was saying, not everything, but majority of what he's saying was damn near the truth.
I
This is what's
don't. Yeah,
happening
see,
now.
yeah, see, I don't know if I quite get all of that. To me, if you're doing good for the entire African American community, somebody's going to notice that and say something on the media. Because
Not
here's a good
good.
example. Here's a good
Not good.
example. You got, wait a minute, you got African Americans that are all over social media promoting the Confederate flag. If they can find good in the Confederate flag, I'm sure there are plenty of African Americans that can find good in Trump. It should, if he's as good as you saying he is, it shouldn't be that undercover.
This is the thing. When you have the places that are complaining about systemic racism, the majority places are all Democratic ran places. So if you have a baby mama that don't like you, you come to see your kids, she kick you out, but you gave her some money for your kids. Do you think she gonna give that money to your kids? No.
Okay.
No. So
So,
at the end of the day, these people who are running these Democratic areas who don't like him when he passes something for us, we don't see it because they don't like him. And if they accept what he gives them, then they're looked at as the bad guy amongst their own peers.
so let me ask you this then. If he gets reelected in 2024, with the media hating him, the Democrats hating him, you're admitting the Republicans and the right-wing media not liking him either, how can you expect him to get anything done if every
No,
single person in the country don't like the guy that's
this
in
is the thing.
power? How can you expect him to get anything done?
I'm not saying he ain't gonna get nothing done. I'm not saying the right wing media don't love him. They love him, but they love him for what they think he's about to do. It's a lot of racism in the right. It really is, and it's more racism on the left. But there is racism on both sides. But the thing is, this man is out. He's marching to the beat of his own drum. You know what I'm saying? He's not
Right,
marching
but
to the beat of a politician, and that's what they don't. They don't know how he's moving. They can't predict his movement, so they're trying to cut him off at the pass, and they don't know what direction he's going. He's
Here's
unpredictable.
what I don't. Here's what you're where you're losing me. Where I don't understand is, based on everything you're suggesting he went through in his first term, there is nothing to suggest those same people, the swamp and all of them, are not going to try to stifle his agenda in his second term. I don't see how any voter can be reassured that he's going to accomplish anything more in his second term. If you're blaming his delay or his hindrance on accomplishments based on all of the resistance he's faced, all of that resistance is not only is it still there, but now you got folks like Liz Cheney and some of them that are added to it. So whatever he didn't accomplish then, he's not going to accomplish now.
But this is the thing. Do you know we got midterms coming up, right? Do you know how many
Yeah.
people are finna switch? You know how many people finna go over to the Republican side to get stuff moving? See, what I'm realizing in the communities, all communities, is they're realizing that we had somebody that was for us, but we were told he was the bad guy. Everybody's getting tired of what's going on, and the only change was that one person. Everybody started noticing companies coming back to America because everybody started noticing, like for instance, the Operation Safety Net. Everybody started noticing a decrease in missing babies. But then as soon as Biden got back in, it shot up the child abduction rate shot back up again. People are starting to notice what is really going on, and people are getting tired of it. And if that's the ends of a means, if this is how they get it started, and everybody wants to make change, people are starting. I hear people talking about voting for their mayors, the senators, the judges, and all this because they're realizing who's really keeping them down.
Okay.
And if we want
Okay.
change,
To me, and by the way, folks, as always, I always ask you tap the screen, get your boy likes up, 5,000, make it happen. This is good content. But before I part ways with you, DJ, I just want to say this. What you're saying in regards to people waking up and starting to realize, it sounds a whole lot like the so-called walkaway movement, where blacks are going to walk away from the Democratic Party and vote for Trump in 2020 that never materialized. What you're saying sounds just like that, but I'll give you the last word.
I tell you this, it's not so much as see with Black America, the way that we were, this whole how we used to be, we had communities and all of that. Like I told people back then, we were Republican. At the end of the day, we were Republican. Y'all want to get it? The Tulsa, Oklahomas, and the Fifth Avenue, Central Park, and all that other stuff. What we had back then, we were Republican back then. You see what I'm saying? So the
Okay.
thing of it is that it ain't so much as they're tired of the Black Caucus not doing nothing, the NAACP not doing anything. We're not seeing anything from our so-called black leaders, which is moving us forward. And we're tired of
Okay.
it. So if we got to make a change this way, then so be it. And now people are starting to study their candidates. If you didn't learn anything about Trump, you learn to start following these people and following the money. And now people are starting to find out what's really going on, like as far as the gender identity in school. People seeing where it's come from, the origins of it. People don't like it. They don't
Okay.
like it. You see what I'm
All
saying?
right,
And also, let me
DJ.
just tell you,
Yeah,
I
you're
just wanted
talking.
to say this to you. One thing,
Okay.
Farrakhan is a Republican. I heard you say you don't think Farrakhan is a Republican because the
No.
way he talks. But yeah, Farrakhan is. I'm here in Chicago, and Farrakhan voted for Trump.
Okay. I gotta go. Catch you on the next one, man. Okay. Farrakhan, a Republican. Now, let me just say this. I'm a long-term resident of Chicago. I don't live in Chicago now, but lived in Chicago 30 years of my life, and I actually lived literally across the street from the Nation of Islam headquarters, 74th and Stony Island, for anybody who's from Chicago. 74th and Stony Island. I could literally stand on my porch and throw a rock and hit the Nation of Islam headquarters. In fact, they organized the Million Man March on my block because it was all throughout the neighborhood. The notion that those dudes, the guys in bow ties selling bean pies, the Final Call magazines, the notion that those dudes are voting for Trump sounds like something from outer space to me. Maybe he knows something that I do not. I always promise you I let my callers speak. I don't ban or block anyone. I don't talk down to anyone or belittle anyone. But I'm just going to simply say the idea that Farrakhan, the guy who's known for calling Caucasians blue-eyed devils, is voting Republican. The same group of people that's walking around with Auschwitz t-shirts on and supporting the Confederate flag, Farrakhan is on their team. That doesn't match what I seen. Maybe things have changed. Okay, going back to the box. George Summers, 9-7. Good evening. I'm asking a question, by the way. The redacted documents that are supposed to be coming out tomorrow, they gave them to noon tomorrow. What good are they going to do? They're going to release a lot of federal documents with black marks all over them, and chances are the shit we want to know is under those redacted
And ain't gonna be
markings.
nothing added to
George,
it. Yeah, I was going
say
to
that
say
again?
Trump was not a very good politician. He didn't know what he was getting into. He didn't know everybody had a knife at his back, including Republicans. He had two crap attorney generals, Sessions, who didn't want to get involved in Russia, and Bush. Bush sent Bill Barr directly to him to hold his hand on top of him and, make sure he didn't get out of
Okay,
line. But
okay, fair point. So let me ask you this: with Trump getting into it, he wasn't a typical politician, did not know what he was getting involved in. What happened to his promise to that he was going to appoint the best and brightest? He was going to surround himself with the best and brightest. Because you're mentioning Sessions, and I'm hearing most of the people who he appointed. I'm hearing MAGA calling them the swamp. What about Trump's promise to appoint the best and brightest around him?
Well, I think people misunderstood. He was going to appoint people that could get the job done, and he wasn't looking at politicians like the guy like Manafort and people that could do business leaders. He was trying to bring people in that did business, but they suffered from the same problem Trump did. They didn't know politics, they didn't have connections, and they didn't really know how to get things done. So Trump
Okay.
learned from that. He's going to bring some people in that's going to he is going to put those pedophiles in jail. The damn list we can't even look at. He's going to set a flamethrower to the DOJ. He's going to have an attorney general that's going to kick their ass. And I hope people will get behind him when they see that no, he's not the brightest guy in the world. And every newspaper in the world loves to make fun of him. But the guy cares about the damn country.
But let me ask it to you this way. You said that he learned from the first time and he's going to appoint the best and brightest. Trump is promoting Dr. Oz for Senate in Pennsylvania, which goes against what most MAGA want. Does that appear, with him supporting Dr. Oz for Senate, does that appear as if he's learned to appoint the right people?
To be honest with you, I don't know about that. I know I saw him chiming in, giving good words about Democrats supporting them, and that was just throwing a wrench at them. But I'm not really sure of what you're talking about with this guy. I hadn't kept up with
You
that.
don't know who? Do you know who Dr. Oz is?
No, I do not.
Well,
I
okay.
mean,
Okay, you never heard of. I mean, he's like a huge celebrity. Has a talk show. Oprah Winfrey got him on air.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
a heart
yeah. Okay,
surgeon.
now I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, he promoted Dr. Oz to be the senator of Pennsylvania, and most MAGA folks. I forgot the name of the woman. She was an African American woman, but she certainly was down with MAGA, and overwhelmingly MAGA supported that woman. But Trump went with Dr. Oz. Do you think that that was a? Because you said he's learned from the past. You think that that is showing that he's learned from the past and making better appointments or better picks?
Well, on the face of it, it really doesn't. But I don't know what his motives are. I wouldn't mind asking him about it, and finding out what his intentions are. But I'm saying the general things that he did with picks in his cabinet were very harmful to him. And now we got people coming in the representatives and the senators. We voted out the rhinos. We got a bunch of people that are going to try to get his agenda done. And I think it's a fair thing that he wants done. And I just, pray for the best and hope for the best. I know one thing, Davos don't like him. The people who got the damn money that make the decisions don't like him. They're the ones that's got the media on him. They're the ones that's got everybody on him. When you start looking at who his enemies are, what they say, you can tell the measure of a man by who his enemies are. Well, you damn well better
Yeah.
believe Trump's a good man if you look at it just from that aspect. I guarantee you.
Well, okay, that's a fair point. What about Mike Pence? You think Mike Pence was truly an enemy of the president's?
I don't know about Pence. I've studied what he did, and I'm not sure exactly if he thought the president was wrong, completely wrong. The only thing I've had to say about the election day was they were voting to cast out the electors that were sent up there. There's been some
Okay.
states that have already decertified their own state election. So I think that would have went a lot further, and we would have looked a lot deeper into the election itself. So people can call me a conspiracy theory, but if you look at who had a victory on January 6th, it damn sure was the Democrats, because everything the Republicans were doing standing up there come to a halt. So if you're going to look at the outcome of what happened, the Democrats gained a victory and shut all that down, all the investigations down, and they ostracized the entire Republican Party. And they're standing on the flag, waving the flag, hollering insurrection. So I don't know. Look at who won the
Well,
victory that day.
okay, so if the Democrats did what you're suggesting and they ostracized the entire Republican Party, my question to you is why are there so many Republicans that are suggesting that Trump is full of it? I mean, there's a lot of Liz Cheney's and Adam Kinzinger's out there. In fact, there's not a lot of Republican senators and Congress people who are saying that Trump was right in regards to the election. Most of them, and I'm not talking liberals, I'm talking Republicans.
Oh,
Most of
I
the
understand.
Republicans are.
Well,
Why is that?
we got hundreds of years worth of corruption that he's going to have to clean up. Even Mitch McConnell's tied into the Chinese so deep that we don't even want to talk about that. And how many people in the
Look,
Congress and the Justice Department and judges that are on that list we don't see? When you have a list of pedophiles that went to Epstein Island and we can't even get a peek at it, I mean, come on, you got to tell me there's some powerful people on it. So yeah, he's got enemies he
but
don't even know
how
he's
could
got.
okay? Here's what I don't understand. How could the Republic when Trump got appointed or when Trump came down the escalator and announced he was running for office in 2015? One of the first things he said was it's rigged, talking about the elections are rigged, and that he was going to drain the swamp. Now that he's been in office for 4 years, what is the biggest complaint coming from Republicans? That the elections are rigged and there's swamp creatures everywhere. So my question is, why did he do such a miserable job in fixing the integrity of the elections that he knew was rigged when he came down the escalator and draining the swamp? I mean, it sounds the way when you hear Trump supporters talk, they sound just like they were talking in 2015. It's as if he didn't do anything to fix this stuff.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but he was able to win a victory. So he thought even with the amount of cheating that was going on, he could still overcome. he didn't realize that they had reclassified and learned from their lessons. So he wasn't aware that he was going to get smoked like that. But these mail-in ballots and all that stuff with COVID and everything left the door wide open for corruption and bad things. So, but states have now come together and have changed voting laws and things like that to prevent the same thing from happening again. So they have been state legislatures that have been working to fix this problem. So I think unless we have some kind of outbreak of swine magula flu or something where we all mail in ballots, then we're going to be okay. That's at least what I'm hoping.
Well, but you would have also thought that when Trump got elected in 2016, he was going to do most of the stuff he promised then as well. I mean, I understand you think the guy's going to be a success, but my point is you probably felt the exact same way when he got elected last time. My point to you is how do we know? Would it not be better to give that position to someone like Ron DeSantis, who's younger, could serve 8 years instead of 4, and comes with less baggage? Would he not be a better pick or better choice?
I may agree with you on that. I'm still weighing DeSantis. I like a lot about him, but I've given my trust too easily before, so I'm still withholding that. Now, he may very well win the nomination, and if he does, I'll back him. And what you're saying may very well be true, but I don't want to see the Republican Party split and fighting. I don't think Donald Trump would get pissed off and become independent and run and destroy the Republican Party. If he did that, he would become an enemy of mine, and I would
Okay.
be very ticked off about it. But
Well,
DeSantis, I like a lot about him.
Well, with all due respect, I would submit to you that the Republican Party has already been divided. I mean, you got the Liz Cheneys and all of these folks like Adam Kinzinger, and I mean, he's had to get rid of half of them that were part of the party. If you get Ron DeSantis, folks like the Liz Cheneys or whoever that's still remaining, like Governor Kemp in Georgia, that's still in office, those folks would come back home to the party. If you put Trump in office, some argue that he would be on a revenge tour and he
Yeah,
would
but
go
you're
after a
you're
lot of Republicans.
you're missing a point about this though. Liz Cheney is not a hero of the state she come from. She just got her butt spanked for what she did.
Right.
We know what these rhinos are. They're not supporting the party. They're not supporting Trump, and they're not supporting ideas. We already know they're backstabbers and they're Democrats at heart. They just been hiding in the bushes. So Trump's done weed a bunch of them out, and we're starting to recognize them. And Ryan's going to be gone. We'll have a good Speaker of the House. I think we can turn this. I think we can turn this horse race around and do something good. That's
Okay.
my opinion. I'm praying it so.
All right, George. I got to part ways with you. But
Appreciate the
I think
time, buddy.
this our first time talking.
Yes, sir. It sure is. And this is my second time on a live. So
Okay. Well, anytime you see me in here, you're always welcome back. It's always a
I
pleasure.
comment all I comment all the time, and I really like what you do. I don't always agree with you, but you
Well,
damn sure
that's
ask the
fair.
questions. So have a good
That's
one.
good talk. That's a pleasure. I'll catch you later, man. Okay, looking in the comments. I'll go right back to the box in a minute. A rhino is when not a Trump, and that's what I was going to ask for you folks out there. What is the definition of a rhino? I understand the acronyms mean Republican in name only. However, there are a lot of folks that appear to be well respected in the Republican Party until they ran afoul of Trump. So the question I'm asking is, does simply running afoul of Trump alone qualifies to make you a rhino? I mean, let's be real. If President Trump had not ran for office, John McCain would have died a well-respected Republican, but now he's a rhino. Some would argue Liz Cheney would have easily won Wyoming again. In fact, Liz Cheney could have probably said the election was not held fairly and Trump actually won and still been in office. So I'm trying to figure out, what does it take to become a rhino? Is it just simply based on dislike or criticism of Trump? Going back to the box here, colonizer, friend of the program. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, what is a rhino? What is that? Uh, rhino is anyone that's not under Trump's, what did that say? Not under Trump's control. A rhino is someone that is not under Trump's control. Okay, colonizer, what is a rhino?
Oh man, I'm the wrong conservative appearing person to ask that because you know me, I don't blindly back the Republican Party. What I would call a rhino, Here, I'll define it. What I think bigots define a rhino is anybody who doesn't stand by Trump, right? Um,
Yeah.
you opposed our chosen one, right? For me, though, what a rhino is just any Republican who will take office under a Republican platform, but then they implement policies that would fall closer to Democrat policies, you know.
Okay.
But
Well,
to be fair, if that's what their constituents are asking, then that's what they need to do. So, you know,
Well, I'm kind of agreeing with you, with the exception of I think you can be a rhino without implementing democratic policies. What I believe Republican in name only means that you ran as a Republican when you do not protect or promote the tenets of a typical Republican. You don't promote conservative ideals and values. That doesn't mean you have to be a Democrat. It just means you're not promoting the Republican values. And I would submit to folks watching that the number one rhino out there is Trump. When Trump ran for office, he's not running under Republican. I mean, he's not a Christian. He's not an evangelical. He's had multiple wives. He's not running like a typical Republican. He's on video suggesting that when it comes to mass shootings, we should actually take guns away and then give people due process. So that's not a Republican tenet. Did he not ban bump stocks? That's not what Republicans do, but Trump needed access to the Republican coffers, just like Bernie Sanders needed access to the Democratic coffers. So he ran as a Democrat, which is why both Trump and Bernie Sanders are not liked by traditional members of their party. Do you see any of that, colonizer?
oh, of course, yeah. And as pro 2A as I am, uh, I don't think I really disagree with Trump's policies on bump stocks.
What
Because
about taking away weapons for mental health without giving due process?
now that's my biggest problem with any 2A policy out there is because absolutely mentally ill people should not have firearms. But who decides? That's where we get all jacked up in America is who decides who's
Okay.
mentally ill. You know,
Yeah, and I would tell you because when you listen to anytime we have a mass shooting, the first thing people say is, "Well, how do we stop that?" The Democrats want to go after guns, and you hear the right say all the time, "Taking away guns is not the answer." Okay, fine, but when you ask the Republicans, the right side of the aisle, what to do, thank you for that hat there, got me looking good. The Republican side will say things like mental health. So if you look at liberal areas, how are they addressing mass shootings? They got tough ass gun laws. Even if you think they're not effective, you can see what they're trying to do. When you go to right wing areas, you hear them saying that mental health is the issue, but what are they actually doing to address this stuff? Are there any mental health laws out there? Do they change any rules? What are they actually doing to address it?
yeah, it's. I'm glad it's not my job to figure it out because I don't know the answer. Because it's absolutely you take firearms from people who are mentally ill, but our country, what we were founded on and what we actually implemented are two different things. Okay,
Right,
but what we were founded on is you will not be prosecuted for a crime that you have not yet committed. I mean, threats and things are one thing, right? But we don't go
right,
and you are very likely to commit this crime, so therefore you may as well have committed the crime. Let's punish you. It's called due process.
right.
And how do you take away somebody's rights without them having actually committed a crime?
So, in other words, even if the problem is mental health, you really can't do nothing about it as long as we have the type of system we have in this country. Chances are, by the time you realize there's a problem, it's in the result of flashes and the guy shooting at people. Because a lot of these mass killers did not even have a criminal record at the time of the shooting.
Right. And people for other people's crimes. I don't like punishing people for. I do think there needs to be a certain amount of accountability when you hear these instances where, yeah, for the last 6 months, little Johnny said he's going to go shoot up the school, and I didn't think he would actually do it. It's like, bitch, why didn't you say something? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what
So
can you do? You're gonna force a person to be a good Samaritan? I mean, if you got let's say your child is at home living with you, but he's 23 years old and he's talking about going and shooting up his old high school. And he actually does it, and the mom is like, he was telling me he was going to do that. Are you going to hold a mom accountable for not telling somebody?
Yes, absolutely.
How? How
I don't
though? What can you?
I don't know how, but I do think that I'll equate it to this, and maybe you can help me come up with the right answer here.
Sure.
But here in Arizona, the number one way for you to get a firearm is break into someone's car because it's a very firearm friendly state, and people leave their guns in their car all the time. Now, if you accidentally, from my opinion, if you accidentally leave your gun in your car, that's one thing. And how do you prove this, right? But there's been nights where I've woken up and gone, damn it, left my gun in my car. I need to go get it. And I went and got it, right? But if I didn't,
Right.
and I said, and somehow my dumb ass said to the cops, yeah, man, I knew I left it in there and I was just too tired, man. Then I
So let me ask you this though. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get your boy up to 10,000 likes. All these patriots and this shit. Tap your screen. Let me ask you this: let's take the example I gave you, the mom who has a child that's talking about shooting up his school. Mom calls the police and sends the police come there. The kid is like, I don't know what my mom is talking about. What can they do?
I got to be honest, I was a little bit sidetracked because I was reading somebody's comment that said you really should know the how
Okay.
before making the suggestion,
All
and
right,
that's
let me
why we
let me
have
give you let me give it to you again, because I
right.
asked you before, if a mom has a child living with her, but he's an adult, living in the basement or whatever, and he's been talking about going and shooting up his school. You stated that if the mom has heard him saying things, she should tell someone, and if she does not, she should be held accountable. So my question to you is, let's say the mom did hear the kid making these threats. She calls the police. The police come over and they talk to the guy, and the guy's like, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. What can the police do?
Uh, I don't know what the police can do, but what I can say, we've heard plenty of instances where the FBI had somebody on their radar and did nothing, and they ended up doing something. Um, that's what we entrust law enforcement to do. They're professionals at this. I notify you of the problem, and now I've relieved myself of the burden and the liability because I've let
Aren't
the
you a
professional know what.
are you not a small government libertarian independent?
Of course, but I'm not saying there needs to be no law enforcement.
Well, but you're saying you
I,
trust
you
law
know,
enforcement to handle this matter, because I guess what I'm trying to get at is just like the mom calling and saying her child is making terroristic threats. What if it's an ex-girlfriend? We all know ex-girlfriends can be bitter as spoiled milk. So what happens if an ex-girlfriend makes that threat and she's actually just lying about it? How can they know when to trust what they're receiving?
No, they can't. And I'm against red flag laws. Like I'm a weird cornucopia of mixed opinions, right? And if false
Right.
accusations are just as terrible, there need to be punishments for false accusations. How does the police sort this out? That's for them to figure out. They got criminal justice degrees and lots of experience doing it. But what I do know is if it's cold hard evidence that somebody says I knew my brother or my son or whoever was saying they were going to do this and they did nothing, they notified no law enforcement professional, then they have to be held accountable to some degree. Is it life in prison? I don't think so. Is it accessory to felony, same way you'd be contribute to the negligence of a minor, right? You would be
Well,
held accountable.
shit, if we had to do if what you're talking about becomes law, half of MAGA would be in jail. How many MAGA folks are making threats right now based on what they think is happening with the government? Based on what you're saying, MAGA will be snitching on MAGA all over the country. I got to move it on. You get the last word.
Hey, just like that one lawyer commercial when it's got the two lawyers when they're just like, "Shut the f up," right? I don't think right.
Right,
I, I
right.
know better, and it's one thing to feel a certain way, and it's another thing to express it. And you know what? You have to face the consequences of those words. If you put them out on social media, if you put them out on a platform that allows the government to prosecute you, then you made your own bed.
Fair point. All right, Colin, that was a good talk.
You
All
two
right.
have a good night.
Now, one of the things, though, I don't know. I mean, the idea that if someone makes a threat in your presence, that you can be held accountable for not taking follow-up action on that. I don't know about that one. I mean, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and you had folks threatening to kill their rivals and other drug dealers and shit all the time. If you force the actual citizen to get involved in this, you're going to get people killed. That's the reason why, even to this day, most people in the hood don't snitch and work with the cops. It's not safe. But what he's saying is if you don't, you could be held criminally liable to some degree. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Let me go on to, oh, my boy is back. Old time. Okay, old timer. Good to see you back on the program again. What's on your mind this evening?
Oh, I don't know, brother. I just saw you running through the gambit.
Oh, you need to be a New York cab driver because I hear a black man can't flag down the cab. I need to have you. I saw you. I stopped. I like that. Let me ask you this question. They're supposed to be releasing redacted documents tomorrow. Do you think that's going to satisfy anybody's urges for the truth? The Department of Justice is releasing those documents, the affidavit rather, but it's all
No,
redacted, so it's going to be covered in black ink all over the damn place.
it doesn't matter if it's redacted or not. It's going to be listened to and heard by people that don't have the clearance, so they're not going to see it anyway. Yet they're going to sit on the panel that's supposed to make the judgments.
Okay. So at the end of the day, this ain't going to mean shit.
No,
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. So what's the purpose of even doing it?
to ensure that a businessman does not go against the establishment.
Elaborate on that. I think I know where you're going, but I'll let you elaborate on that.
Well, you know, Trump's not a typical politician. He's a businessman, and he wanted to run on the Democrat ticket against Hillary, and the DNC said no. They chose Hillary, and he said, "Well, I can beat her. So if you don't, then I'll run on the Republican." And they said, "You won't beat her," and he switched over and he ran Republican. Okay, he's not part of the establishment. Okay, it's the establishment is not us that vote Republican or Democrat. It's not
So
us that
wait,
vote
wait a minute. So if you're saying that Trump was originally going to run as a Democrat, and the only reason he switched over is because the Democratic Party wouldn't get rid of Hillary, then you're literally describing and defining a rhino. You're basically saying that Trump is Republican in name only.
Well, he may be. The only thing I know a rhino is a big African animal that's usually gray in color, rolls around in the mud, got a big horn sticking off his nose.
So in other words, Mike Pence is not a rhino. He doesn't have a horn. He certainly is not an African animal.
No, I'd say
Okay.
that he was selected because of his political prowess.
Okay. All right. But if I don't know, my issue with Trump is, and obviously my name states who I am, but my issue with Trump is when you say he's not a typical politician, I think the biggest problem with him is he doesn't know how to do the job. I'm fine with the business aspects of Trump, but running a nation takes more than just businessman skills. You need to have some tact. You need to be able to talk to people. You just simply running a business is not everything in America is not for profit or business based. Like the criminal justice system, for instance. We don't need a businessman, a for-profit person running the criminal justice system. So I think there are areas of this country where being a businessman is actually a negative as opposed to a positive. You don't see any of that?
It is. Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Okay.
There's places now, as far as the criminal justice system, our inmates get extended terms because their bodies are bought and sold like stock exchange. That's the only reason they get
Yeah.
the sentences right. So whether he runs it as a business or the private entities run it as a business, it's still run as a business. But there are aspects of America that don't need to be run with for profit in mind all the time.
Right.
But
Right.
in my opinion, the establishment is not Democrat or Republican, but the DNC, the RNC, because all they're doing is putting in people looking out for their own self-interest. I'm ready to see somebody look out for the interest of the American voters, the citizens of America that put their asses up there in the first place.
Do you think Trump is that guy?
Well, I think he's shown a lot of potential, but you go back to Reagan, and Reagan wasn't that guy either, and they tried to smoke him.
Yeah, but at this point in Reagan's career, he had a hell of a lot more accolades, higher poll numbers, and a lot more favoritism than Trump has. Trump is not even a shoe-in to do another 4 years, whereas Reagan was certainly expected to be reelected.
Yeah, that's true. But you go back to the time also. We had a less population, less media outlets that were available to spread whatever they wanted to spread. You know, there
Yeah.
was less communication. Hell, we didn't even have bag phones at that time. We still use rotary phones.
Yeah, but as opposed to, here's one of the other things I often have an issue with. I don't know if these damn bugs are so loud, but another thing I have an issue with is oftentimes folks suggest that Trump's success was hindered by the media, but they never seem to think that his rhetoric and his demeanor had a lot to do with his failures as well. Do you not see any of that?
Well, Trump's Trump's failures come from overconfidence.
Okay, I can live with that.
He's a very overconfident person, and I think his first term ended up in everything that he's gone through. I think it may have humbled him a little bit. Now, is he the best person for the job in 2024? I don't personally know, because I don't know who all's going to run.
Okay,
But
I got to throw DeSantis
people,
out there as usual. If DeSantis actually ran against Trump, he said if DeSantis made it clear that I think I'm the better guy for this job than Trump, and did not have Trump's blessing because Trump was running also, who would you pick out of those two?
probably DeSantis. I don't care if he's got Trump's
Okay.
blessing or not. If he can
Okay.
prove to me or convince me he's going to do the best for the people, then they're going to get my vote. I don't care what side of the aisle they're on.
Okay. All right.
You know, what people need to understand is the establishment is the House and the Senate, right?
Right.
The RNC, the DNC. It's not the president. It's just a figurehead that catches all the blame, because there's nothing that a president can do that the next president can't undo.
Yeah, but at
President,
the same
they don't.
I agree with you that an executive action can easily be undone. However, if it's a very popular executive action, that can be a challenge. For instance, what Biden just did with student loans. Can you imagine a president coming in 2 years from now and saying, I'm not going to honor Biden's promise to forgive 10,000 in student loans. So if you whatever you still owe, you got to pay that back. We're going to undo that. Can you imagine how unpopular that would be for that president?
Yeah, and it would be, certain policies or executive orders that are signed in could be the end of a political career, if that's a lifetime political aspiration for the following person.
Right.
But
so what do you speaking of Biden, what do you think of? Go ahead.
I'm just saying, everybody that I've seen as far as this Biden thing goes with the student loans right now is who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? Well, who do you think's going to pay for it? The American tax dollar is going to pay for it. But they've paid for all the defaulting fees so far.
Yeah, they pay for the war.
In the long run,
they pay for the war in Iraq and everything else. I mean, with every single thing we do, there's always somebody asking who's going to pay for it. I mean, like for instance, the wall, because you got folks suggesting that $10,000 in student loan debt is not a solution, and I agree with that. It's just a band-aid. But just like how the right feels about the student loans not really doing anything of any significance, the left feels the exact same way about the wall. They don't believe the wall was going to stop illegal immigration. It's just a band-aid. So,
the wall is looked at and compared to the Great Wall of China. But you've got to consider the time that the Great Wall of China was built and how much larger it is.
Well,
right?
not only that, but if you cross the Great Wall of China, they would kill you. We're not going to do that.
Right. And you didn't have to worry about it a whole lot, because the population of the earth was not near as big as it is right now. But now there's people that fly across the Great Wall of China all the time. So if they want in, they're going to get in. It doesn't matter what country it is.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, is that just like folks who believe that relieving the student loan debt is a waste of time or it's not going to accomplish much, it's the same way a lot of liberals felt about the wall. It was just a waste of money and it wasn't going to accomplish much. And you're right about how one president can erase the executive order of the previous, because Biden got in there and stopped the wall immediately.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to build the wall, then that's fine. But if you're going to spend taxpayer dollars or even state dollars to do it, put it down the private property owners' fences so that they don't have to keep going out every day and mending their fences. It costs them thousands and thousands of dollars every day to go out and fix. Have the
Yeah, but
openings
even
right
if you
up
put
Main
the
Street.
wall on, even if you put the wall on the property of private citizens, it still is going to have to be maintained. And if the next president comes in there and he does not allocate funds for that, I mean, who's gonna keep up the maintenance and all of that that's necessary? And you also, the wall itself is not. You need electronic surveillance. You need border patrol agents. You need all of that.
Well,
And if
no,
the
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, 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 no. That's I'm not going that far with it. I'm saying, these ranchers have to get down there and cut fences. It's harder to cut steel pipe than it is to cut barbed wire. So if you want
Yeah.
openings in the wall, that's fine. Put the openings on main streets and have them walk up into Main Street instead of sneaking through private properties, messing with those folks' lives.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're talking about cartel members and people who got endless money. They're going to find a way to cut through that wall anywhere, any way they want to. I mean, the wall alone is not going to stop this. You're going to need manpower. You're going to need electronic surveillance. You're going to need, when I was down there, I've been, as an over the road driver, I've been to Laredo, I've been to Farr, I've been to McAllen, all those border towns, El Paso. I used to see blimps, real silent white blimps that almost blend in with the sky. I would park my vehicle and get out. You could see it up there, and if you really listen, you could hear the little fan that's moving it around. It's
Oh, yeah.
loaded with electronic equipment, and it just hovers up there. You need stuff like that where you can see infrared and things like that. But just simply building a wall alone, they'll negotiate a wall without a problem. It's just too much. What is it, a 2,000-mile border or something? It's too much border to just expect a wall alone to do it.
Well, that's true, but you've also got to consider who's running the government for acquisitions. I mean,
Exactly.
They paid $10,000 for damn hammers in the '90s. So
Yeah.
they're not making the drone manufacturers compete for a bid. So hell, they can order the drones they need that'll do the same thing from Amazon at $100 a piece and have them delivered the next day.
Yeah. At the end of the
They
day,
don't need.
I think at the end of the day, we're going to continue having an immigration problem because I believe both sides of the aisle want those people here. There's just too much money to be made and votes to be had off of them. But old timer, I got to move it on, man. You know how we do it. You're always welcome
All
back,
right,
sir.
brother. When I'm driving my
Appreciate you.
taxi and I see you standing out on the side, I'll swing by and pick you up again.
Thank you. It's always good to know a black man can get a ride. I'll be looking forward to seeing you there, old timer. Catch you
Take care,
later, man.
brother.
You too. You too. All right. Looking in the they don't pay for shit we did. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but something is better than nothing. Yeah, says the students receiving $10,000 in forgiveness. If you want to say something is better than nothing, then holla at your boy who got. Well, I got a Pell Grant, so I guess I'll get 20,000 back because I got a hell of a lot of student loans. Republican business owners love illegals. Yep, and Democratic politicians love them too. So, and that's what I mean. I strongly believe that President Trump is the only politician in recent history that truly gave a damn about the border. But if you look at the notion that liberals are for open borders, that's bullshit because President George W. Bush is the one that coined the phrase, let them in here because they'll do jobs no Americans want. And Ronald Reagan actually gave a bunch of illegals, tens of thousands of them, amnesty. So it's not just the Democrats that are down for letting these folks come here. Just understand that. All right, looking at the raid on Trump's house is illegal. Well, you got to prove that. Right now, let me just say this. I'll go right back to the box, but before we say, in regards to the raid on Trump's house being illegal, let me ask you this: if those documents were declassified, as Trump is suggesting, according to him, they took his passport and they had no right to be in his house. Trump has access to an infinite amount of attorneys. Why has he not sued the FBI demanding the return of his personal property back? I mean, if the documents were declassified and he had a right to own them, why isn't he suing the FBI for his shit back? As opposed to going on Fox News or Newsmax somewhere talking shit. Just like you want to talk about the DOJ hasn't arrested him yet. Well, you could also hold Trump accountable. Don't talk shit. Put your money where your mouth is. Sue these fuckers. Why isn't he doing that? Going back to the box, I may have to wrap this up soon because I'm starting to get so black out here. The sun is setting, starting to look blue. Okay, who did I end up selecting here? Can't even see the name there. Can you hear me there, sir?
Yes, I can. It's
Okay, I can't.
it's David.
I can't see your name. It's so little there in the box.
It's David.
David, good evening. Okay,
Yeah.
what do you think about these? What do you think about these redacted affidavit documents that's coming out tomorrow?
Oh man, I'm not really into the politics. I really don't pay
Well, let
attention
me
to
ask
it.
you this. I mean, regardless if you're into politics or not, let me ask you this. Do you believe, in regards to our former president, they just fucking with him? I mean, do you think he actually might have done something wrong, or you think they're just trying to prevent him from being president again?
I think maybe he was going to do the right thing, and they don't want him back in. You know, like Dr. Umar said, we voted for the wrong people. We didn't do their background. We they accused Donald Trump. They accused Donald Trump, and we let the government off the hook.
What do you mean? Let him off the hook for doing what wrong?
We all turned to Donald Trump and accused Donald Trump, and the government was the one really doing everything that they did in this country.
Okay. Well, Trump was the government, though.
Yeah, he was the president, but
Yeah.
I think he was doing what he was told to do. I think his hands were forced.
So you think Trump was a puppet?
Yeah, I think so.
For who?
For this country,
No, no,
I
no.
think
Who was
it's
controlling? If he's a puppet, who's controlling the strings?
somebody higher than him.
But no
Like you
clue who
said,
that is.
they all got stuff on each other. So you do this, I'm
Right.
gonna do this. You know, if you do that, I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm
What?
saying?
Somebody in the comments, Kevin Union said Russia was controlling the strings. What about Vladimir Putin? You think Vladimir Putin had some influence on Trump?
No, he might have made a few deals with him. And Clinton, I think Clinton made a few deals with him too. You
Okay.
know,
All right. All right. But you
because
do believe
like
he's
with Donald Trump, a lot of the Nigerians, Somalians, and all of those, they went to Canada, and all the YMCA's over there owned by Trump. Trump funded everything. He housed them, put them up, did everything he said he was going to do for them for them to vote, and they did everything they had to do to vote to get citizenships, to get back into America and everything. And they voted for Trump, but Trump didn't get back in office.
okay. All right. I mean, you're presenting this from a perspective I have never heard before. You're probably one of my first callers that has ever suggested that Trump is potentially a puppet, and certainly, well, you said he made some deals with Vladimir Putin, but
I
that
believe he
would be
made some
the
deals
first
with him.
question I'd want to know is if he's a puppet, yeah, who is controlling the strings? Because we want to
Right.
know whoever the puppeteer is, what their agenda is.
Because I think favor for a favor, eye for an eye, and a whistleblower. You know, they all got that
Do
on
you
each other.
believe the person controlling the strings is an American?
Yeah,
Okay.
most
All right.
definitely.
Well, at least we inside the country. At least he's not committing an act of treason. All right, that's
Right.
that's a little bit better, but you don't know anything more than that.
No, no, no. Like a
Okay.
lot of this boy, I really don't. You know, I try not to pay attention to that stuff that's gonna make you worry. You know.
Well, why not? Why not? You live in the country and you're not paying
Yeah.
attention to the person that's in control of your nation.
No, not at all.
You just suggested that Trump may have been trying to do the right thing. If you think he may have been doing the
Yeah.
right thing, wouldn't you want to know more about the man and try to get him back in office to continue?
That's a good question. You're right. You're right. Because we
Yeah.
all need a break. We all need coming off the Bush era. You know, we needed a big break. You know.
Okay. Well, I just want to say, I mean, I don't want to make it racial, man, but unfortunately, a lot of people that look like you and me don't ever show up to the polls. We need to get more involved in politics, man.
Most
Get to
most
know your
most
leaders. Get to know who running the country and who making decisions for you. You ain't gotta like them. You ain't gotta love them. You ain't gotta hate them. But get to
right,
know these people. It helps you out
which is true.
because because at the end of the day, the primary goal of a politician is to get another term. And if you're not showing them support, they damn near ain't gonna show you any either. So get to know these people.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
You were saying that I was born in Chicago on the South Side, out in the hundreds.
You
And I
think
see somebody.
Farrakhan is a Republican?
Yeah, I most definitely do.
Please.
I most definitely do now.
Why?
Like you hear a lot of stuff about the Muslims, but you really don't see them like you used to. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
every mostly like Sundays or weekends, you'll see them on the corner selling their bean pies, selling their newspapers, taking up donations. Some of them
Right.
would even go around the colleges and speak and stuff like that. You don't see that no more. Now I heard that with the Muslim community now, they take care of their own. Their community, they live in neighborhoods like how you see Jewish people live. You don't really see them. And you see like back in the days, the Chinese people had all the business in the 80s and the 90s.
Okay.
Then the Mexicans had it. Then the Arabs had it.
Right.
Now with those stores, you're starting to see more Muslims with it. Like how you see like the Mexicans got their grocery stores. You're starting to
Yeah,
see
but you're talking, when you say Muslims, you're talking Middle Easterners. You're not talking Minister Louis Farrakhan type Muslims.
I'm talking more like Minister Farrakhan type Muslim.
Oh, okay. That's
But
something
like
I haven't seen.
they're getting a lot of these corner stores and grocery stores. But like what I see with them is I heard some people saying, I was on the train one day and I heard some people saying that
Mhm.
the I guess they got it from somebody or whatever. They were saying that the Muslims get the same government income that the KKK and the Aryan people get, that government
I don't.
funding.
What do you mean the same income? What kind of income is being given to a white
Like
supremacist or?
they giving them government funding, them government grants and all that other stuff.
Okay,
That he
that.
says she state.
All right. Well, listen, man. I do got to move the program on, Dave. Have we talked before?
Nah, that's my first time seeing it. I see some people
Okay.
when I was listening to what y'all was talking. I said, let me go in there and see what they. Because
Well, you
I'm blind
certainly.
to the fact that I'm
Go
blind
ahead.
to the fact of a lot of stuff. I'm a man that has never voted in my life.
No, you got to change that, brother. You got to change that,
Yeah,
man. I don't give a shit who you vote for, but get out there and get
right.
to know these people, man. They're making decisions about your life. Get out there and learn these people, man. Whoever you pick, that's on you. But make a decision based on how you feel on whatever research you do. Make a decision based on that. I gotta go. Anytime you want to come
Hey,
back through, man.
let me ask you this: do you think John Kerry will run for president again?
No. What's your next question?
That's it.
All right, I gotta go.
Uh,
All right,
uh,
good talk, man.
yeah.
Catch you later. All right, look in the comments. I think John Kerry, Swift Boat, Flip Flopper, ran for president in 2004, I believe it was. And they got him on potentially lying somewhat about his service in Vietnam. He ran against George Bush's second term, if I'm correct. I think that's right. Yeah, he ran against George Bush in the second time. And yeah, I don't think John Kerry is the guy. You don't even, I think he does work for the Biden administration, but in terms of Democratic politics, he's not really a front runner. So yeah, I don't think John Kerry is the guy. I think if you're going to see a Democrat run, it's probably going to be Gavin Newsom, and they're going to hammer him with California crime and homelessness. Let me go back to the box. Who's that in the box here? We got Fast Pass. Another. He said Farrakhan is a Republican. That shocked me. Fast Pass. Did he? Oh shit, we lost him. Fast Pass. Did he? Oh shit, we lost him. For some reason, Fast Pass dropped out. Let me go back in here. I'm about to walk into a lighted environment. I don't know what the hell, because I'm getting so black you can't see nothing but eyes and teeth. I look like a damn ghost monster after being chomped on Pac-Man, returning back to the box. So give me a minute to get myself in a lighted environment. Good evening. So let me look at the comments while I'm doing this. Uh, Gavin for prison. What has Gavin Newsom did to make him worthy of charges? I don't know. I'm not aware of any crimes that Gavin Newsom is alleged to have committed. I love a Democratic governor that gets things done. Fair point. So do I. Okay, here, let me get in this. Bear with me for a minute here, guys. And by the way, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. You guys been rolling with me. Let me get here into a more lighted environment where, okay, because shit. All right, let me see what we got going on here. Give me 1 second so I can brighten up my dwelling. All right. Okay, what do we have here? Shit, there we go. All right. I think Pete Buttigieg will run. You know, I don't think Pete Buttigieg will be a bad candidate. Some would argue he doesn't have a lot of experience. I mean, he was a mayor of South Bend, Indiana, which is a small town. But then again, Barack Obama was a community organizer, and he didn't have a lot of experience either. So we never know. Farrakhan is Republican. The devil is a liar. Yeah, I would be incredibly shocked to hear any Nation of Islam member, yeehaw, like the hat and mustache. Much love to you for that. I'd be very shocked to see anyone suggest that Farrakhan is a Republican. That really shocks me, but I've had two people say that tonight. That shocks me. Cheney is gonna switch. I know she's pissed off, but I believe she has genuine affection for Republican principles, Christianity, pro-military, protecting the sanctity of life, protecting the Second Amendment. That shouldn't change because you're pissed off with a leader. Just like I think it was Old Timer suggested that Trump was originally going to run as a Democrat and got angry because they wouldn't get rid of Hillary Clinton to make way for him and decided to run as a Republican. Yeah, to me, that's some traitor shit. Meaning that if you believe in the principles of that party or of that type of government, if you're a Democrat, you believe in pro-choice, for instance, or you might be for common sense gun legislation or $15 an hour minimum wage. Your mindset shouldn't change because you can't lead the Democratic Party and make you flip over to Republican. That means you're not genuine. And if Trump did what he suggested, which I'm not in the camp of saying that I believe Trump was going to run as a Democrat, but if he is correct, then that would mean Trump is not genuine at heart. He just wanted to lead. He didn't give a shit what he was leading. Just as long as he was president, he didn't care how he did it. That's not a genuine leader. Michelle says, handsome liberal for president. You know, I wouldn't want to put my folks through that. I always say it like this. Even if you do not have any skeletons in your closet, the opposition will hire an archaeologist and put some bones in your shit. Folks always say it all the time. Before Trump ran for office, black folks loved him. Everybody loved him. Why the hell did they flip tune once he became president, once he ran for president? And that's the point I'm making, is that when you run for president, you get dirtied up. I don't care if you're Mother Teresa. Look at Martin Luther King. When Martin Luther King started fighting for civil rights, they started contacting his hoes. Hey, he sleeps with prostitutes. They started bringing up the hoes he was with. People will find anything that's on you when you run for that office. So I don't know if I'd want to put my family through that, which is why, although I believe Michelle Obama would be extremely competitive if she ran as the Democratic frontrunner, I think Barack probably doesn't want to put his children and all them through that again. I mean, shit. I mean, how many people think that she's a man? I mean, you think that's going to go away if she runs for president? So I don't know, but hey, I appreciate the sentiment. Okay, going back to Fast Pass again. I don't know. Was
Hey,
in there a few months. Fast Pass.
we'll try this again.
Okay,
Yeah, but wait a minute. Now, but Michelle may run sometime, but they moved to Washington D.C. It's not like they moved. They bought a house in D.C., so it's not like they don't have a lot of connections still in this Democratic administration. It's
right.
obvious, and that he doesn't. That a lot of people think that he's actually pulling the strings. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that, but a lot of people think it's not Biden. I mean, just Biden kind of says it all the time. Where do you want me now? What am I supposed to do now? Where do I sit? What do I do? I mean, I don't know that he's his own man. But you're right. Trump wasn't. And another guys, I'll comment on the other guys' comments about people are getting swatted commonly now, and if you start having family members just that's the only people I think that you would believe would be serious enough to say, hey, this guy is something's the matter with him. He's watching all these
But so
conspiracy.
but let me say, speaking of
Yeah.
family, how did you feel about Trump putting so many of his family members in White House jobs?
Well, that's nepotism, and it was definitely I don't think it's good at all. I don't think that a family should be a political dynasty. We reek of monarchy when we do that. We reek of it. Whenever George Bush Sr. did one term, his son did 2 terms. That's 12 years of one family, nearly a generation, almost half of one.
Well, but
Um,
at least, yeah, at least when the Bushes did it, they were actually getting voted in. They were not getting appointed. Because one of the issues that I looked at is this: he put his daughter Ivanka in a White House position. All of a sudden, during the January 6th testimony, she's testifying that when Barr said Trump didn't win the election, I believed him. So you got a bunch of MAGA and even Trump himself suggesting, well, she kind of checked out and maybe she doesn't know really a lot about the voting process, which leads to the obvious question. Why the hell do you give somebody who doesn't know a lot about the voting process a White House position? I mean, if you're going to try to throw her under the bus for agreeing with Jim Barr, or Attorney General Barr, rather, you can't throw her under the bus by saying she don't
well,
know a lot about the voting
hey
process when
man,
you
come on
gave her a
now.
White House position.
I know it's his daughter, but why give Buttigieg the transportation secretary position? So if we're talking about experience and qualifications, there's a lot of people getting appointed not for their qualifications, but
Favors.
it's
I'll
political
respond to that by
favors.
saying, yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, Ben Carlson is a brain surgeon. He gets to housing and urban development because he's from Detroit. What the hell is that? I agree with that. But you can't then say the person doesn't even know about the election process that you appointed. That doesn't make
Well,
sense. You're
what
essentially
was she
admitting you
appointed?
appointed a
I
dummy.
forget. What was she appointed to? I mean, it wasn't the Board of Elections. What was it?
No, education. Betsy DeVos was appointed to the Department of
Okay.
Education.
Right. Right. Yeah, I remember that. Betsy DeVos. But I'm
And
talking
that
about
didn't go
Ivanka.
well. That
What?
didn't go well at all.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people. This guy that's running it now, I don't know that he's doing such a great job either. My grandkids are in charter schools, so they're not completely in public school. I mean, we got to do a lot more. There's a lot more involved in putting, in having them in charter schools. You got to pack their lunches, take them to school. It takes more effort, but it's worth it. They wear uniforms. I'm for that. But either way, whether you've got somebody appointed in a government position or whether you've got somebody giving a cushy business appointment or connections, one of them is right above board, right there. They're signed up. They're on the payroll. They're having taxes paid. They know exactly. Where you got other ones that are right now under investigation for their political connections in the business world with foreign countries that are being, under investigation right now. And so all that's kind of hush hush. So I don't know what one of them is public, one of them is private. I think I'm not for nepotism. I think it's definitely they're not. I'm for qualification. I'm for meritocracy. I'm for you get the job because you're the best at doing it.
I
And
like that. So do you think he would be? I mean, I guess I just asked you. You think Trump is the best person moving forward in 24?
Well, I don't know how he's going to lose the nomination. I just don't know how. But I don't think that doesn't mean that I think he's the best. I don't mean to hedge your question, but you know where I stand. You just want me to say it out loud. So
You know I
anyway,
gotta push. You know I always gotta push. I wouldn't have
yeah.
you on here if I wasn't gonna ask the question.
Well, but I think it's a matter of him saying yes, and he's going to do it. Now, the other alternative is if he's found, charged or found guilty of one of these. And that was the bad part of it is to me, which has struck me as odd, is what they're charging him with has the penalty of not being able to hold a public office wasn't that his law? Didn't he do that? I mean, what didn't Trump
Yeah,
make that
yeah, he actually,
presidential
yeah,
records law?
he actually raised the penalty up and all of that, and he's going to get caught in his own web. Yeah, he's the one that did that.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
told you, I've said this before. A lot of things that Trump has did or said is coming back to haunt him, such as people do not plead the fifth unless they got something to hide, and now that's not aging well on him either. So a
right.
lot of things he's done, running his
No,
mouth too much.
okay, we'll get him. Dogs.
Yeah,
Sorry,
okay, it's all
sorry, I
good.
have dogs barking outside.
Okay.
But yeah, what were you saying? I got interrupted.
No, I'm just saying that a lot of things. You are right. That was him increasing the penalties for doing that. And I was saying that a lot of things he has done has come back to bite him, such as saying that people who plead the fifth have something to hide and comparing them to the mafia and shit like that. Now all of a
Yeah, and
sudden
then
he's
he pled
pleading
the
the fifth,
fifth
and
in
suddenly, yeah,
that tax case. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, they better watch what you say, because I mean, the people in politics is the master of hypocrisy anyway. I don't care what side. I mean, I've
You
never seen
know,
people that can look straight at you right in the face and tell you something's good for you. Take this medicine. And now it's coming out all about COVID, how really dangerous that thing was, and how, it's coming out about how we were, stopped from getting the information that now is actually recognized as being sound. That
well, I
people
will
that were,
tell you this. I will tell you this. It's amazing that how ineffective, corrupt, or crooked all of these organizations were under Trump. If you listen to MAGA or if you listen to Trump, the FBI was out to get him. You had a hell of a lot of Republican rhinos on his own administration. It's almost like he governed from a chaotic standpoint. When you're in charge, you should get all this stuff straight. Now, if you want to say the liberals are out to get you, I can understand it. The liberals are supposed to hate you. You're supposed to hate the liberals. But he's crying out that his own intelligence agencies are after him, the FBI. Like, these are agencies that you're in control of.
yeah,
Why
but
is
they
it
were
so
there
many of
before
your
he was
own
there.
people?
They
Huh?
were there. No, they're not his own people. These people were there before Trump got elected. A lot of the stuff about the government
No.
being what he was is he's a risk to people's jobs. He wanted to cut government, which means cutting jobs, and he
No.
did that. He did that. A lot of people lost their jobs, and that's definitely a survival instinct that people are going to say, "Wait a minute, he's doing away
Yeah.
with the NEA." He's going to do with the endowment for the arts. He's going to do away with the Department of Education. And Betsy DeVos was, even
He
talking
was
about,
affiliated with the Yeah,
yeah,
but the thing about it is you can't come into power because see here's the difference. Here's why I say Trump running as a businessman is not necessarily always in the best interest of that office, is because if you run a business, you can run from a platform of my way or the highway. If it's your business, at the end of the day, all your board members, all your employees, either they do things your way or get the hell out of here. But when you're a politician, a president, you can't tell that to the Senate. You cannot tell that to Congress. You tell that to the Senate, you're going to get somebody like John McCain that walks up there and gives a thumbs down when you're trying to repeal and replace Obamacare.
yeah, that
So
was
to
one
some
person.
degree,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
but there's a lot of people like that was in among the senators. So that's the problem, is that he's trying to run the country like a business, which to some degree is more of a dictatorship as opposed to a democracy, and that doesn't work as well when you're running a nation where the Senate and the Congress can shoot your ideas down. And he isn't used to people doing that.
Well, I don't know. I think the dictatorial process right now is the current administration, but that's just a matter of opinion
Okay.
based on the executive orders that he's making. The student
Yeah.
loan forgiveness, which is that even legal, what he did, and if it's not legal, it definitely is rings of a political payoff. $250,000 for a married couple is a lot of money and I
Yeah.
know it's going to
Well,
benefit you. The
I do agree that politicians can overstep their bounds. I mean, keep in mind, Trump tried to get a total and complete ban of all Muslims entering the country. That's
No, not
dictatorial.
all, not all. Just ones from
That's what he.
certain
No, wait,
countries. Just the
no, no,
ones
no.
from
That ain't what he
Libya. He
said.
named the countries. No, he named the
No.
countries, handsome.
I can
He
I
named the
can play
countries.
you. I can actually play you the audio of him calling for it. He didn't say any country. The
Yeah,
countries came out. The countries came out after he had to clear it up. He said Donald J. Trump calls for a total and complete ban on all Muslims entering America until Congress can figure out what the hell is going on. He didn't
that
say nothing
was
about a country.
the beginning of that part. He was talking about Libya, Syria, Iran, the countries. He named them off, and we'll play it back. I'll send it to you, my friend. I'll send
I've
it to
played
you.
it on my programs. I've actually played it on my program several times. He didn't mention a single country in that. He
No,
used the countries. The countries were like locker room talk. He cleared it up later. But when he made that statement, he didn't say nothing about any country.
well, unlike many conservatives and hopefully unlike many liberals, hopefully if one of us proves the other wrong, we'll admit it. Okay,
I always do.
because
You know,
well, change
fast
our
pass.
mind.
Yeah. Well, fast pass. You've been riding with the program. We go back like shit in diapers. If you got me, I will let you know. I will concede. But right
Okay,
now,
I'll
I
do the
played
same.
that clip.
I'm
I
not that.
played that clip.
Okay, all right. I'll look it up. I'll
All
look it
right.
up again too.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
and
I'll give you the last word. I got to move it on, but I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
yeah, well, I was interested, and I'm not a big fan or whatever of of Andrew Tate, but it was real interesting the thing he was on today about how quickly he got blanket banned. He said that it's amazing that everybody, his paying platforms, everything got him at once. Like he was in real time, he said, watching his apps on his phone just disintegrate. He said it
Wow.
was unbelievable how quickly it happened. He said in real time, just wiped out all his pay platforms, everything. And he was swatted too. I don't know if you know that, but he was
Wait a minute. Who
swatted.
was this happening to?
Andrew Tate, the guy, Andrew Tate, the ex kickboxer. You know,
Oh,
the guy's got millions of followers, and he's a
right.
kickbox champion, and now
Okay.
he's according to liberals, he's a toxic masculine. According to him, he's a comic book hero. So, but the guy was bad. I mean, he was in the ring. He was tough, and he talks very eloquently about what he says. I don't agree with everything, but he just got erased, and he got
Damn.
erased over so many non-connected platforms that it seemed like there was a collusion to shut him up from. He said whoever was telling all them to do it wasn't each individual company. He said it was kind of like it was monopolized. But anyway, it's interesting. You might be able to catch it, and I was watched it, but interesting to watch him and just listen to what he says. I'm not saying it with a closed mind, open mind, whatever. Just listen to it. It's going to
All
draw
right.
some comments from these people. Okay,
I'll look
man.
it up. I'll look it up and see what I can
And
find.
you
Okay.
know who he is, right? Andrew Tate.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but I'll look it up and see what I can find on it. Hey, good talk, man. Hey, I need you to do me a favor. Go ahead. I'm gonna have you exit out for some reason because it did not. I don't see you in the box, so I don't have the ability. So I'll let you drop it before I go on to the next caller. So come on
Okay,
through anytime as usual.
I'll
Good
do it.
talk. All right, appreciate it. Okay, ginger bearded Texan, another free program. I'm looking forward. I'm assuming that all of you guys are looking forward to this. These redacted affidavits that are coming out tomorrow. I don't know if the box is down. I tried to bring in Ginger Bearded.
Hey, you can't see me, hear me?
No, I cannot. Something's wrong on my end.
Well,
So,
you look good
but
on
you,
my end.
I'll take that. I'll take the compliment. I'll take the compliment. So, what's going on with the DOJ? Are they just messing with Trump, or do you think they actually have the goods on him?
I don't think they got the goods on him, and here's why. The presidential, and I can't remember the exact name of the act, but that is a very specific act. And the acts that they had on the warrant were, or the statutes that they had on the warrant were general statutes, and specific statutes override general statutes. So the only thing that could bite him would be if he had actual nuclear secrets, and then the question comes down to which of the general acts might they charge him on in that case for nuclear secrets, because then it would become whether he had intent or did not have intent, whether he did anything with it or not, unless they can prove that he did something with it. But it would come down
Well,
to intent.
it looks like they have informants that they're redacting out. So somebody told something on him.
And
Now,
they should.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say they shouldn't redact the informants.
they should or should not.
They should.
Okay, yeah, I agree because they would be dead. Now the issue is he's saying the documents he had were declassified by him. My point on this is that should be easily provable. If he truly declassified those documents, there has to be a record of that, right?
That's the thing I don't get, because under Bush and then again under Obama, they have both well, Bush did it first. He wrote the act, and then
Okay.
under Obama it was refined. But there is no very clear definition when it comes to the president and the vice president. It's only for everyone else. It's only for all of y'all, but not me.
And
So
that's a good point. I actually think that that's going to ultimately change, is because a lot of things they were doing in regards to the president was done on the honor system, and Trump has taken that office in a direction that they are now going to have to pass laws. Most likely, I think Adam Kinzinger said it. Like, we're going to have to pass laws to make sure that some of the liberties Trump was taking can never happen again.
yeah, I mean,
And I really,
there's
like,
got
for
to be
instance, if you, huh?
got to be a paper trail.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like, just some of the other things, like if a president is being impeached, he should not be able to tell members of office not to answer subpoenas. That should be a conflict. That's something they should stop from happening in the future. I mean, so he's done some things like that. Like, for instance, entertaining whether you can pardon yourself. They need to pass a solid law to guarantee that no,
Okay,
a president,
okay.
if he's being investigated, I mean, it shouldn't be something that you have to ask, can I
Hold,
pardon myself or not? The answer
hold
should
on.
be no.
In my line of work, okay, and I work in information security. So let's just say that my company has an information security breach. Okay,
Okay. All right.
I am told not to speak to anybody.
Okay.
Okay, that is all done through legal and through communication channels,
Right.
and that's the way it. I mean, I don't think that the Trump presidency, or any presidency for that matter, should be any different. They have legal
Okay, wait a
counsel
minute.
for it.
I don't think you're getting my point. I said there's a difference between exercising your Fifth Amendment rights and not speaking to incriminate yourself and refusing to answer a subpoena. He was telling people not to answer a subpoena. You don't have a legal right to do that. That's a crime. They can put a warrant out for your arrest. He was
That's
telling
true.
people not to, which is why you got Steve Bannon being found in contempt. He was telling people not to even show up to court at all. That ain't pleading the fifth. That's committing a crime.
Yeah, that's completely snubbing your nose at the legal system.
So they
So,
need to pass laws to stop stuff like that. Entertaining whether you can pardon
well,
yourself.
they have laws for that. They already have laws for that, and that's why Steve Bannon's in hot water, because
Yeah,
he snubbed a subpoena, and so they called him in because he snubbed a subpoena, and so now you're going to be punished for snubbing a subpoena.
yeah. Well,
So
and
we
that's all
have
I'm
laws
saying
for
is
that.
that what about him entertaining the notion of pardoning himself? Who just sent me that? Appreciate that. Whoever sent that.
That was
The
cool. I've never
idea that you
seen one of those. That was cool.
I didn't either. I don't get a lot of shit, so I'm always happy when I see these little hats and shit come up. I always give shout out to my folks who do that. I'm a liberal talking to a bunch of patriots. That shit ain't designed to go well. So when I get gifts, I'm always appreciative of them. But yeah, I believe that a lot of things. There it is again. That Maddie man. Thank you, Maddie. Shout out to you. Um, and also fancy prancy. But yeah, I mean, the way they did things on the honor system, Ginger bearded. That's you. Okay, you guys
I'm just
are
leveling the
making me
playing
feel like
field.
you guys are making me feel good tonight. I appreciate the roses too.
I need to send you a hat, brother.
Yeah, I wish I had been wearing one about 20 years ago. I wouldn't have been paying all that child support. But but yeah, that's a different conversation. Let me
That's
not go
another
off the
day. That's another
deep.
day. We might have to meet for beers for that.
I don't drink, but I hang out with you and sip on a Pepsi. But
Well, you know what? That's fine. We'll drink coffee. That's good.
yeah, okay, all right, I
Pepsi, that's
appreciate
good
it.
too.
Anytime, anytime. I'm one who can get along with both sides of the aisle. I think that there's not enough of that nowadays in our country. A lot of folks are in their own corners and shit like that. So yeah, I'm always happy to hear from folks on the other side. You'd be amazed at how much I get criticized for talking to folks on the other side. Is particularly, believe it or not, by folks who look like me.
Well, it
You
was
sell
funny.
out.
I was put
Your
in
Uncle
the
Tom.
comments. I don't know if the guy is still here. In the comments earlier, there was someone here saying he's a Fed. Don't talk to him. He's a Fed.
Talk about me.
Yeah, over and over again. I'm like, dude, you want to cite your sources?
Oh my God.
I mean, come on,
Well,
let's cite your source.
unfortunately, we've progressed in a way in this country where nobody trusts anyone.
Gregor, sorry.
Oh, I thought you were taking a shit over there for a minute, man.
No. Trigger he got upset. There's probably a coyote out in my pasture or something.
Oh, damn. How far? You must be way out somewhere. Coyotes and shit. What the hell is that?
Holy shit, that is cool.
What the hell was that? Was that a disco ball? A whole disc? Let me get on my John Travolta outfit. Let me go see if I
That's
got
what I was thinking.
my staying alive CD. Appreciate that gift. That threw me off my game. I forgot what I was even talking about seeing that pop up there. Look at this shit. I'm graduating. Well, am I gonna get the $10,000 in student loans for that cap and gown? I don't want the graduation unless I get the student loan forgiveness. How about it? Can I make that happen? So, what do you
Here's
think
the problem.
about that, though?
What do I think about the student loan forgiveness? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm torn. Because the woman that I date, her daughters received Pell Grants, so I feel good in that aspect. But we're all going to. The thing that I don't think a lot of people still understand today is it's not the government paying for this; it is the taxpayer.
right.
They can print more money, and that just puts us, further into inflation. Okay, but your taxes, my taxes, we're all going to pay for it in the end. Now, am I going to
But
benefit? No.
wouldn't that be America first though? He's putting, as opposed to giving money overseas to all kinds of other bullshit, he's giving money back to American citizens. Our tax money oftentimes leaves the country. Wouldn't that be a tenet of putting America first?
Okay, how many billions have we already given to Ukraine?
Quite a bit.
Up to this point, okay? And then last week we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, right? And then this week we're creating more inflation. So what was the benefit of the Inflation Reduction Act last week? Green energy. That's it. Green energy. Okay?
Yeah, but,
Which you have to admit is not sustainable at this time because first of all, we got to go to China to get our solar panels and the components for that. We have to go to China to get the lithium and other rare earth materials to make the batteries for these rechargeable cars, okay, the electric cars. What happens to a windmill when the windmill goes down and it's finally at its end of life? It's just going to get buried. And so we're short-sighted in looking at this, and we're saying, okay, green energy, hey, I'm all for green energy. I really am. But, this whole plan doesn't think out 20 years, 30 years from now. And what is it doing to our kids? Okay, to my kids.
Well, but what about
let me ask you, do you have any kids?
Yeah.
You
yes.
do? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. How old are they?
I got a 12-year-old walking around here, and I got an adult.
All right. Yeah, and I got grandbabies now, as of recently.
Okay. And, congratulations. Yeah, I don't want that yet. I'll let you have that. I don't want that yet.
Well, I got a few years on you, my friend.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
you know what we're passing on to our kids and grandkids with this green energy bills as they stand right now, as they're being as we're trying to push this, is
Mhm.
going to only hurt them. Okay, because again, it's short-sighted. Because what is going to happen? You know, China is becoming more and more of an adversary, and that's where we're getting our rare earth materials, right?
Okay. What do you let me ask you this though. In the comments, Aiden said 366 fossil fuel is the path, buddy. How do you view when somebody suggests that, listen, alternative energies is the future? Because didn't California just actually pass a law that as of 2035, um, when the combustion engines will be illegal, you can't even sell them in that state anymore as of 2035. Didn't they just pass a law like that?
They did. I think it was. I think it made it through today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was today that it made it through. And yeah, this is so. In answer to that question, yes, fossil fuels are not going to be the future.
Right.
Okay, I think there will be a combination of that, but I don't think they're going to be the future. Here's the other
No.
question. So let's think about this for a moment. The more solar panels we throw up, right?
Okay.
What
Right.
kind of heat? I mean, it's a silly question, but it's certainly science that we have to think about. What kind of heat are we kicking back up? And maybe causing more global warming because we're kicking that heat back up into our atmosphere.
Wait a minute. You're suggesting that solar panels return heat to the atmosphere?
Well, you have some reflection off of that, certainly off the glass
Well,
that's
you
on the.
got, I mean, yeah, but you got reflection off the ground. I mean, solar panels, in fact, they're black. I would assume they probably reflect not much. They don't probably reflect much more heat back up to the atmosphere as the shingles on your roof.
Well, that's certainly possible. It's a question that we've got to consider because although the the what do you call the little things inside there? They absorb, yet you have a glass
Yeah.
that's on there. So that
I mean,
glass is
I
that
mean,
glass
there
really
may
going
be.
to be reflecting or not?
Yeah, there may be some reflection, but I would dare say that that's negligible. I don't think that you're getting a lot of radiation return. I mean, the
But
purpose
we're
of a
going to have
solar
to have a
panel
lot
is
more. We're going to have a lot more of those to cover the difference from fossil fuels.
I
So
would
when
dare
you
say
do
I
that,
agree with that.
what is going to be the return on investment, or what is going to be the consequences of the investment? And I don't think we know that yet.
Well, I will tell you this: just like with cell phones, DVD players, the microwave, or anything else, when you start using things in bulk, the price comes down.
That's true.
If you put solar panels on just about every home in America, the amount of electricity we use would drop drastically because all of that energy is hitting the ground in the form of heat and it's just dissipating into the ground. If that energy was hitting solar panels, you could
I
certainly cut back energy costs in this country
I
significantly. It's just a
I
matter
I,
of getting those panels on the roofs.
I in Texas, I mean, we have the choice of our energy provider. All right, and I'm actually with an energy provider that is all green. So
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I'm not behind it. A lot of it is wind powered, but I'm it's not like I'm not behind green energy, but we have to do it smartly so that we're not getting ourselves in a situation, like where Germany is, where well, a lot of Europe is going to be come this winter when they're not getting gas
From
from the
Russia.
Ukraine
Yeah. But
or
let me ask it
from
to you this
Russia
way.
because of the.
Let me ask it to you this way. Do you believe protecting the planet in terms of climate change and things, do you believe that that is a serious threat to our future?
I honestly don't know that there's enough science because there's science on both sides. There's
Okay.
science that says no. There's science that says yes about climate change. There's science that says, hey, it's been cyclical for all these generations. We've had, ice ages, and there's so much science, and it's the interpretation of science. It is, I think, hyper politicized, just like
Okay.
much
Let me.
anything else that's going on
Yeah.
anymore.
The reason I'm asking you that is because a lot of the hesitation we have in this country or even around the world in regards to implementing alternative energies and things like that is based on, well, it's going to cost too much or we can't afford it or we're not. If you felt that this issue was a serious danger to the country, we would throw that type of stuff to the back burner. In fact, like for instance, if your house is on fire, you're not going to be concerned with it. Well, I don't want to leave my $5,000 leather jacket in the closet. You're trying to get out to save your life. And right
No,
now, I think that's where the hindrance is that we don't see this as a serious threat enough that we're putting stuff like, well, it costs too much or we can't afford that yet. So until we get to the
no.
point where, and I would also say this, the reason you're like you mentioned the science is not quite there yet. The reason the science is not there probably has a lot to do with big oil sending out alternative viewpoints so that folks would not want to switch from big oil. Big
That
oil is the
that
reason we're still dependent on big oil.
and I would not disagree with that. Okay, we
Yeah.
don't know. What I will say is this: I think it makes, and I hope we can agree at least to this step. But I think to me, it makes perfect sense that we explore more and more green energy, so that we can also extend the life of our fossil fuel energy.
But when
I
you
mean, does
say
that not make sense?
explore, yeah, it makes sense, but that goes against what the reason I asked you, do you think this is a serious threat is because if it is, we don't have a lot of time to keep exploring. It's like somebody tell you you're stage 4 cancer, I want to get a second opinion. You may not have time for that. You need to do this surgery right now. You don't have
They,
time to go shop around for
they've been
that's
telling
what
us
we're
this for
being
years.
told.
I've grown
Huh?
up with this. You and I have grown up with this for years, where they've said, "Hey, we're we're we are so beyond a number of deadlines already, where the world is not going to come back, and we are supposed to all be dead right now." I mean, there
Yeah.
has been an awful lot of those situations that have been presented. So, no, I'm not going to just do a knee jerk reaction to that, but I am going to sit here and I'm going to say there is enough common. I think that there's enough common sense that says by getting more green energy out there, it extends the life of the fossil fuels that we do have, and it gives us something to fall back on
Mm-hmm.
as well. Okay, to supplement. I mean, it just to me just makes sense. It's just right.
Okay. Well, I hope things are more leaning. I hope things are more leaning in the way you're talking than the way I'm talking. Because the way I'm talking, if it goes in that direction, by the time we find out, it may be too late. If the scientists are right, the liberal scientists, the ones who are suggesting that climate change is right or climate change is real, if they're correct, we don't have time to do what you're suggesting. So I hope what
There's
you're
some type
suggesting.
there's some type of climate change that is absolutely real. I mean,
Okay.
we are seeing bigger droughts, longer droughts. I think they're circling the world. Um, we have we also have periods where we have torrential rains, devastating rains, hitting other places in the world. They're definitely there.
And we're not
There is
doing a
some,
whole lot to change things. We're moving about as slow as we can with big oil putting up as much resistance as possible. But listen, I
but you're
gotta move
talking
it on,
you're
man.
talking about give me one last word then.
Sure, go
You're
for it.
talking about one country in this nation or in this world, okay? And there are other countries that are doing a lot more to damage the environment. And
Yeah?
so even what we do, and okay, it may make us feel good, we can pat ourselves on the back, but it's going to be a drop in the bucket for the actual health and recovery of the planet. So
Well,
we have to take that into
yeah.
consideration when we're running out and saying, talking about climate change and wanting to make all these radical changes when India, China, those are two right off the top of my head. They're
I get
not
your point.
making change.
Well, as they say, charity starts at home. So I get your point that we cannot do it alone, but it's got to start somewhere. So we cannot view the rest of the world with the idea that, well, as long as they're not doing it, we ain't gonna do nothing either. So charity starts at home, and once we begin, we can try to make treaties and agreements to get other folks to follow through. But it's got to start somewhere. All right, Ginger. Good talk, man.
Always good to talk to you, brother.
Hey, you too. Always a pleasure. Hey, by the way, go ahead and click it out because like I said, I don't have you in the box on my side, so I
Oh,
don't.
yeah, you're right. Right.
Yeah. All right. Good talk. Appreciate it. Looking in the comments real quick before we move on. Yeah, unfortunately, I believe it is way too late. When scientists are begging and crying, yeah, and there is no shortage of folks on television. I mean, remember Al Gore, Inconvenient Truth, how much the right laughed at him, said what he was talking about was bullshit. He's flying around in private jets talking about the environment and all of that. That hasn't went away, folks. In fact, there are more people now speaking what he's speaking. Now, I understand, like my last caller, Ginger Bearded, was saying, that there are scientists that are on the other side of the argument, too. But the number of scientists on the climate change side is growing. I think there are far more scientists on that side of the aisle. In fact, it's no longer a matter of if climate change is real, it's more along the lines of to what degree. Like Ginger Bearded, my previous caller, when Al Gore came out, folks on the right was just like, what you're talking about is bullshit. Now folks on the right sound more like him, like, yeah, you guys are kind of hyping this up a lot. I believe there is something there, but you're hyping it up too much, which is showing that even folks on the right are starting to move in that direction. They're nowhere near as much as the left is, but even on the right now, you're starting to find more and more folks that are saying, yeah, we need to slowly start doing something. Do we have time to do it slowly? Which is what I was telling him. I don't know. But certainly there is something there if you ask your humble correspondent. Let me go or in the box rather. I don't know, for some reason I cannot see you folks in the box, but Keith, if you're there, let me know.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I cannot see you. I guess the viewers of the program can. What do you think? Do you think climate change is even a real issue, or is this just something cyclical that happens every few thousand years where the
Well,
earth can manage it?
to me, it's a little bit of both. Is man having an effect on the environment? Sure. But the planet's going to
Okay.
be here whether we're here or not. The planet doesn't
But
give a
what kind of
shit whether we're here or not.
Right, but what kind of planet will it be? I mean, the planet could survive even with the same atmosphere of the moon, where there was no oxygen or anything. The mass of the planet, I mean, it might be 90 degrees below zero all the time everywhere, but the actual Earth itself, yeah, it'll survive whether we're here or not. But what about it remaining inhabitable?
Right. I mean, the Earth is billions of years old. It's gone through ice ages before. I mean, one thing that we don't talk about ever is the population, right? We're spitting into the ocean with all of this stuff. It's really easy for these administrations to go, okay, we're going to tax the hell out of everybody. We're going to do all of these, whether it's gasoline taxes, or we're going to do all kinds of Green New Deals and all of this shit. We're going to put all these hardships onto you. It's what is that actually doing? It's when you have they're saying now that we're going to be going up to 8 billion within the next year or something like that. By the year 2200, we're going to reach 11 billion. It's you're going to run we've decimated 60% of the ocean's food supplies. We're running
Wait a
out
minute,
of fresh
when you say
water.
11 billion, wait, you said 11, you talking about population, right?
Right, 11 billion
Okay.
on the planet.
Wow.
You can keep on doing all of this stuff. So let's say that you're reducing your carbon output per individual, but then you keep on doubling the
Yeah, I
population.
get your point.
You're at
Yeah, I get
net
your point.
zero. You see what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, I get your point.
You're
Well,
not
my
you're not
my guess
moving the
is
needle.
right. My guess is it probably won't be long before we start finding somewhere else to live. I don't care if it's a space station or some crazy shit like that, or finding another rock to put some form of life on it. That's probably the goal in the future, is to just find somewhere else to fuck up. I mean, it's I guess kind of like white flight. It's about time we leave this neighborhood. It's getting fucked up. I think that's probably what will ultimately happen, is we're going to find somewhere else to relocate to, and start
Well,
doing the
and
same thing to that area.
you're doing all of this stuff, and you have scientists throughout the world that say, like, a lot of these super volcanoes are, some of them, a million years overdue from erupting,
Wow.
where they're planet killers. You have like Yellowstone, which is a super volcano that's like so far overdue from erupting, and it's a planet killer,
Yeah.
to where if
Well, and
that thing
I
ever
want to
goes
say
off.
I want to say something real quick in the comments. Don, a friend of the program, Don said we don't have the capability to travel beyond our solar system. We don't need to leave our solar system. You could actually set up residence on the moon. I mean, you could. I mean, it would have to all be inside of some type of environment. We could make our own environment, though. There's sunlight hitting the moon. If you got sunlight, you have a way to power things. You could make your own gardens and everything on in it from an internal environment. I mean, we got astronauts that have been in orbit for over a year. So clearly there is a way to stay out there. So yeah, we could certainly find a way to live somewhere else outside of the planet. I don't know if it could house millions of people, but you certainly could do enough to keep mankind going. Do you think that's possible there?
No, I just
Not
I think you're fighting, like, we as human beings, we try to fight mortality, right? What
That
this
ain't
proved to me.
mortality. That is the destruction of mankind. We're not talking mortality. We're talking about the destruction of mankind.
Well, and it proves to me, like, and this is a little bit off topic, but and this goes back to like the whole pandemic. It proved to me how little that people believed in God itself. And I don't care what religion you are, because it's like people were so fearful of it that it's like, whatever happened to you believing in God? And I don't care whether you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, whatever it is. It's like the planet was in such fear of it that we had to like inoculate the entire planet. It's like, okay, so if you believe in an afterlife so much, and you believe in a God so much, then who cares if you died?
Yeah, but we're talking about
This goes right, but like, this is what we're fighting. We're fighting to keep the species alive, when in
right.
essence you're not going to. Planet Earth is going to win. Planet Earth has won time and time again. It won against the dinosaurs. It's gonna win again. You've had multiple ice ages. It's gonna win with us. We try to think that we're so special. We're not special. It's going to win. You can throw all the tax dollars you want. You can have, I don't care whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care if it's Newsom in California. Like we're not going to have gasoline cars anymore within the next like 12 years or whatever. It's like, none of this stuff matters one bit. All you're doing is creating more hardships for people. That's all you're doing.
But you got it. But see, well, I guess if you have the mindset that the Earth is going to destroy itself no matter what you do, then yeah, I can see what you're talking about. But for us who don't see it that way, you cannot put saving the Earth behind money. I mean, if you're talking about saving mankind, how much it costs is going to have to take a back seat to that. And right now, that is the problem. Is every time you recommend something, well, you're putting people through hardships and things like that. Well, shit, if the country starts splitting in half, you're talking about real hardships. How about that? As opposed to you can't afford to eat McDonald's next week. So, I
then
mean, but you're
then
seeing it
why
from a
don't we talk
perspective.
about the real issue? Because these are all band-aids, right? Why doesn't anybody talk about, like, China? You and I are old enough to where we know that China had the one baby policy for
Right,
forever,
right,
right?
right.
Where you couldn't have more than one kid. That's not really something that's spoken about anymore. It's
Well,
like,
shit, you got Republicans banning abortion. Sounds like you guys want more people.
I don't. I have 0 kids.
I
I'm doing
mean,
my part to be carbon neutral.
okay, well, I'm just saying, with Republicans banning abortion, they're gonna make the population shoot up. It's not like they want a bunch of more folks in this country. So we'll see. But look, I
Hey,
gotta
Ben.
move it on, man.
All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Benjamin said, "Get Keith out. He's an old delusional man." How am I delusional in thinking that the world population is going to get to a point where we're going to run out of clean water, where we're going to run out of food? You don't have endless supplies of everything. California is the perfect example that they just outvoted putting in desal plants along the coast.
Let me interrupt you and let me ask you this. Since you're talking to Ben, would you like to actually talk to Ben?
Sure, bring him in here.
All right, hang on a second. Because Ben always comes highly recommended. So I'm going to let you have Ben. Let you get a taste of Ben, a little bit of this Uncle Ben's for you. Ben, are you there?
What's going on? It's good to be
You the
with
man.
you.
What's on your mind, Ben? Talk to me.
Nothing. I just wanted to get Keith out. I agree with what he's saying, but he's just an old, boring man. So I thought we'd get someone in a little bit more exciting.
Oh, okay. So tell me
No
how
hard
I'm
feelings, Keith.
delusional in
No
my
hard
thinking.
feelings. You're a good guy, Keith. You're just not the kind of guy we need right now. We need a stone cold
You said I
patriot.
was delusional. Tell me how I'm delusional.
Keith, did I get your attention? That's what I was trying to
Sure,
do.
you did.
Now that I've got it, it's time to go away with you. Let
Oh
the
my
men
God.
do the work.
I don't normally do this. So don't, please don't
No,
make
come
me
on, man.
feel.
I want to hear your take on it.
Keith, calm down. I don't want your blood pressure to be raising. I
Okay,
need you to chill.
Ben, go ahead. Give us your point. We want to hear what you got to say.
So here's the deal. Here's what's important. You look at Al Gore. You've been talking about Al Gore for as long as I've been here. The main takeaway from the conversation, all you need to do is look at Al Gore's net worth when he ran for president and his net worth now. Climate change and the climate change business is the best thing to ever happen to Al Gore because it's made him a multi-millionaire. There's so much money in climate change, and I think that that's why there's a big push for climate change and working in climate change. Climate change, the ocean's gonna rise 1 millimeter of an inch in 100 billion years. Spaghetti-o. I could care less. Personally,
Yeah,
it's not
he
gonna
Well,
turned
affect
let
that
me.
me
shit into Bitcoin.
let
That's
me
what that
let me
shit was.
let me say this.
Keith's speaking facts, but he's just
There are
not doing what I need
there
him to
are
do.
people. Okay, when you say climate change is a big income earner, well, shit, so is big oil, and climate change denial was a big earner. I will just say this: there are people who are speaking in favor of climate change and saying it's a major problem that are not making money off of it. Everybody that's crying out about this aren't making money off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
mean, what did
the
he
people
do?
crying about it, are usually the youth who have no ideology of anything that matters. The people that run the world, the people that run the show, the true deep state, the true people behind the Democratic Party and the climate change are the ones making money off of it. And of course, they're pressing that onto the youth, onto people doing TikTok lives and whatnot. You use oil as a comparison. The world runs on oil. The world does not
Okay.
run on in 100 billion years the ocean rising
Yeah,
a
but
fifth of an inch.
even though the world runs on oil, some of the most corrupt atrocities committed in mankind, Mad Max type shit, is based upon the production of oil. Even though the world runs on oil, it represents a lot of the corruption that is the world. So it's not like big oil is any better.
Okay, but oil does something for the world. These climate change organizations are not running on anything other than an ideology or prediction.
That's not
Oil
true.
fuels the world.
Wait,
Yes, it
wait, wait a
is.
minute. Wait a minute. Let me tell you why I say it's not true. Without the outcry of climate change, all of these windmill generators and solar that shit wouldn't be invented. The reason you're starting to get these new technologies is because people think that big oil is destroying the environment. If you didn't think there was any reason to worry about the environment, we would just do everything on big oil, and all these other inventions would not be coming to par. It's creating a lot of new technology. That's what climate change is doing.
Did you use windmills as an example?
You get my point.
Well, windmills are
You get
killing
my
birds
point.
by the millions.
Okay.
So
And you
not really
don't. And
good for
you
the
again. You
environment.
said windmills are killing birds, as if you've never seen the pictures from an Exxon Valdez spill. Did you see all those ducks that were covered in oil?
Yes, and then I saw the dish commercial and made sure we cleaned them up and got them back up on the
Oh
water.
my God.
I
Yeah,
didn't
Ben
see
was
I
Okay.
didn't
out there
see
with the dog
I didn't see
washing
dish
the
soap. I
ducks
didn't see
off.
dish soap doing anything for the birds.
So you gonna walk up and down the shores of the ocean with a Bible and a bottle of Dawn dish soap? Is that what you gonna be doing?
I don't know
Wiping
about a
off
bottle. I
ducks?
think we might need a barrel, but I think we'll be okay. I think
Okay,
that
then.
honestly, all trolling aside, I obviously we don't want our air polluted. We want clean energy. We want, obviously, I think windmills are better than not having windmills. Hopefully, we can save the birds a little bit more. But I think that there is a lot of corruption also involved in the climate change industry. There is some truth to that. There is organizations that are simply in this business to profit on. And I think if climate change was more focused on new ways for clean air, clean energy that are positively impacting the environment and not just wasting time and wasting resources, then that's fair.
Okay.
All trolling aside, I was kidding for the first
Yeah,
half of
because
that.
I will
Now,
say this. Trump actually brought up the birds, and I will say this. If you're going to talk about saving birds, I mean, shit, what are you going to do? Ground every aircraft? How many aircraft have bird strikes? How many trains hit deer? How many cars hit deer? Everything we create kills animals. I mean, that we're going to go after the windmills all of a sudden like it hasn't been happening already. Shit, I don't hit two deers in my SUV. So, I mean, that just happens. There's nothing you can do about that.
that's not very friendly for the environment. I think you need to slow down. I almost hit a
Right,
skunk just last
right.
month, but I slowed down.
All inventions, all
Or at
mankind
least cook it for
inventions,
dinner so that it doesn't go to waste.
So the real question of the day
all
is
mankind inventions. Yeah, I mean,
sure.
you guys for you guys who want the pipeline is not good for the environment.
Okay. The real question of the day is what are your thoughts on the witch hunt and persecution against Roger J. Stone?
You talking about the guy that Trump pardoned?
Yes.
Okay, what do you mean when you say there's a witch hunt against him? I don't, because man, anybody who is associated with Trump, their life seems to get fucked up. I guess next we'll be saying there's
Well,
a witch
thank
hunt
you for
against
agreeing.
Giuliani, huh?
I said, thank you for agreeing. Well, you look at, he was convicted of lying to Congress, obstruction of
Did he?
justice, and witness tampering. He was convicted of these things under the Mueller investigation with Russian collusion. So the question is,
Right.
how can you lie to Congress about something that never took place? There's no Russian collusion. And the Mueller report, it says that Trump did not collude with Russia. Therefore, there was no Russian collusion. So how can you be convicted on charges in regards to an investigation that found there was no collusion? It makes no sense.
I'd have to look. I don't know the exact lie. I mean, 'cause you can. I mean, I don't know what they asked him that he lied about. It may have not been in regards to what you're saying. They could have just asked him, where were you at one day, and he said something. I'd have to find out the lie that they're accusing him of telling. That's the first start of that. But I mean, but Trump pardoned him. I mean, what else can you do at this point?
Okay. I'll make you a deal. You make a charitable contribution to stonedefensefund.com and I'll have them do a TikTok debate with you on your live. It'll be the biggest person that you ever got. Quite the
And
show. I think your chat
Other
would like
than
to
you
see that.
coming
that
in, I gotta
anybody
find. Other than you coming in here, I gotta check your page out. You doing it like that?
I don't actually post TikTok videos. I got two. I got something funny I made it when I was filling up my gas tank, and I got something that I posted of Roger speaking for an event that we hosted. But you make a charitable contribution to stonedefensefund.com and you encourage everyone else to. I'll bring him up here on a debate. I'll get his face up on here. His account's actually banned, but we'll make him another one.
You get who up here?
If you make a charitable donation, I will. There's a pretty high chance I'll get Roger Stone up here to debate you.
Anybody
Really?
that has a bad tattoo of Richard Nixon on his back
Keith,
ain't all
the
there.
men are talking. Shh. What do you have to say
Ben,
for yourself?
Oh, what's
I
the
mean,
matter, Ben? I hurt your feelings.
Keith, you can't hurt my feelings. I think the only thing that's hurting right now is your cholesterol.
shit. Who is this Ben Shapiro? How are you going to get access to Roger Stone?
I do some work for him.
Oh, okay, interesting. I have listen right now. I'm
So
willing to
as
plead
much
ignorance. I don't know.
as,
I'm willing to. I'm willing to plead ignorance. I don't know enough about Roger Stone at this point, at least, to be properly prepared to debate him about his case. I mean, obviously, he's going to know more about his case than I
I
ever
don't.
will
No, hold on,
dream
hold on,
of.
hold on, hold on. I don't think he's going to want to debate you on his case. I think that you stand
Oh,
for a lot of issues and a lot of values. So why don't you chart that with the Godfather of the Republican Party?
you know, that could be interesting. That's something I'd be willing to entertain it if I knew you could do that for certain.
Keith, do you have
I'd be willing.
Instagram?
I'm sorry,
I
what?
mean, I'm sorry, not Keith. What's your
No,
first
I
name?
do not have. No, I do not have Instagram.
Okay.
I have YouTube. I have the Handsome Liber. I have a YouTube page that I run with all of my programs on them, and then I just do Facebook or whatever. But no, I
All
don't.
right.
I
Well,
don't use it.
here's make a little Instagram or something like that. You can contact me at Real Benjamin Rao. You can see.
Hold on. Hang on
You
a
can.
second.
You should be able to Google me, and we can get something situated.
All right. Okay.
It's REAL and then my name
Wait a minute.
Benjamin.
It might require me having something that can actually write. REAL. Go ahead.
BENJAMIN and then Rao RAU. Real Benjamin Rao. Make an Instagram page. Follow me. Shoot me a DM, and we'll get something sorted. This is going to be the biggest guest if it ends up happening on your
Well,
TikTok, and I
no
think that
shit. Well, yeah, no shit. Okay, you say Real Benjamin. What was the last part of that?
RAU Rao.
RAU. Okay. And that's
Then we
on
can debate
So
Instagram.
the
you're going to
issues at
bring
hand.
Roger Stone on his show.
If he makes a charitable, we can talk about that. A charitable donation, but it'll happen. I've had it done before, AMAs and whatnot.
Shit.
Should be good. And I'm sorry to say, but you have no chance at winning that debate.
Well, you know something, and one of the things I always say on my program, the end goal is to be able to actually have a civilized conversation with the other side. I'm willing to fucking lose a debate if it can be civil and maintained in a proper way. If he beats me in a debate, he beats me in a debate. I've debated Bill O'Reilly. I've debated Brian Kilmeade and all. I used to call in Fox so much that John Gibson and Tom Sullivan, formerly of Fox News, actually had me in the studio. I've met a lot of them. I met the late Alan Combs. I don't
Let me
mind
ask you this
losing a
question.
debate. Sure.
If I were to give you theoretically $2 million right now, would you become a Republican?
No,
Yes.
because my tenets or my core values, if I believe that poor people should get a $15 minimum wage, that's not going to change. I may lie to get the money, but at the end of the day,
I'll
I
vote for
still believe.
anybody you give me $2 million.
See,
I'll
Keith, this is why
lie.
you're a stone cold
Right.
patriot. Now, the only problem with a high minimum wage is I don't know about $15. I don't know if it'd be a big deal or not. But the problem is every time you increase the minimum wage, things get more expensive. It kind of devalues money. So that's kind of the issue with that.
That would be fine.
We don't want money to devalue because
Right.
okay,
I
we
would
raise
be
it $3 and then everything doubles in price or whatever. That's an
I would
example.
be willing. I would be willing to entertain that statement if we kept the minimum wage the same and shit wasn't still going up anyway. That's the problem. Is that if you don't raise the minimum wage, inflation is still happening anyway. So when you say, "Well, we raise the minimum wage, you're going to pay more for goods and services," well, that's happening anyway. So
You
people,
live
well,
in
give me
Illinois,
the money,
correct? You
huh?
said you lived in Illinois?
Yeah.
I'm in Galena. Have you ever been to this beautiful town?
Yes, I have.
Should come down and visit. You know, it's a very patriotic, conservative
Okay.
home of Grant.
I've been
It's
through
got a lot of
there
rich
on the way to
history.
Peoria. I've been through your town on the way to Peoria. Yeah, I've been through there.
Absolutely. Well, you've got my name. I'm gonna assume you're gonna have a nice conversation with Keith and his beautiful head and everything that he represents. Hopefully, good things. Hopefully, climate change debate stays strong, and hopefully, we have a tremendous debate upcoming here. Stop the steal. We know who really won the election. 89 million people did not
Oh,
vote for that
And
I
dimensional man.
need proof.
We will
Ben,
win. Stop the
Ben, I
steal.
need proof. Ben, I need proof. If
Go
you
to
want
my
to say something,
Instagram page. That's all you need. All right.
I
I'll
need
see you
proof.
later. Have a
All
good
right.
one. God bless you and Godspeed.
See you next time. Good talk. All right, let me move it on. Keith, I'm gonna go ahead and move it on. That was interesting. I'll say that. That was interesting. I got to move it on though.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of the box. It's not letting
Okay.
me.
Yeah, 'cause I may go ahead and restart the live or something because I can't see either one of you guys in here, and that's crazy. I don't know why I've lost control of that. But as inflation goes up, you have to increase wages at the same rate, and that's a great point in the comments there, Barbie. That's an awesome point because that is the reason why you got folks suggesting minimum wage should be $15 an hour. Is because they didn't increase it for so long. Minimum wage, even right now, a lot of states have minimum wage that's still in the sevens, like $7.50, $8 an hour. And when you look at when the minimum wage reached the point of $7.50 or $8 an hour, it goes back to like the 90s, like the 1990s. There are states where the minimum wage has been the exact same amount for a whole generation, for an entire generation, it has not moved. You're going to tell me the price of goods and services? I see somebody in the comments said $7.25 in West Virginia, one of the poorest states in the union. Now, if you look at when the minimum wage was raised to $7.25 in West Virginia, I bet it's 10, 15 years ago. You're going to tell me the price of goods and services under any president, under any administration, would not move in that period of time? That's why you're hearing the $15 an hour minimum wage, is because it should have been going up 25, 50 cents a year or something like that for all of those years. And it would probably be somewhere around 14, $15 an hour. Who benefited? Who benefited the most by keeping minimum wage with a zero increase for all those years? The same folks who are complaining that, well, if you raise minimum wage, I got to charge more people. You've been doing it anyway. You've been certainly charging the workers because if you don't get a raise, then essentially you're getting a decrease in income. Every time inflation goes up and your salary does not, you essentially got a demotion in pay because your money does not go as far. Now, all of a sudden, when you're asking for folks to catch up and bring things to par, they're giving you every excuse in the book of why they can or how goods and services. I don't know what else to say about that. They fed us the biggest load of bullshit, and folks keep continuing to perpetuate that. They're still doing it. They're still perpetuating that. You see, we're not living as good as we did in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s. You're seeing it all over the damn place. Folks are working 40 hours a week, putting in a hard day's work. They're not getting health care. They're getting paid so low they qualify for food stamps. The previous generations didn't get paid like that. They got pensions. You get a 401k. And that's another issue I'm going to end up doing a program on soon, is that we're getting to the point where the first 401k generation is coming to retirement. Remember, this country used to be based on pensions. We're getting to the point now where the 401k generation is the first 401k generation is about to retire. And it's going to be a Bernie Sanders type deal where you're going to start seeing a whole lot of people retiring with no income, no savings. And you can't tell all these people will go out and get a job. 65, 70 years old. A lot of them work for companies that didn't contribute anything to their 401k, or they were bad at saving money and putting money aside. You're gonna have literally millions of people retiring like that with no savings. You're gonna have to do something about that. And that's what we gotta realize. We cannot continue letting corporations do to our employees what we've been allowing. I'm gonna restart the live, folks. Because for some reason it's not letting me see the box. Let me restart it.